What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Joe Pierce Morrison. Welcome. Today we're talking about how to show up in therapy better. I've been in therapy consistently every week for the last 8 years. And I've been with the same therapist the whole time. And something I don't see talked about a whole lot online is how to actually show up in therapy in a way that's going to help you outside of, if you're in a crisis and you're trying to get stable. And I'm going to use some examples from my life to kind of give that to y'all. And let me know if these help you down in the comments. So number one is I keep a list in my phone of things that come up during the week. It could be how I react to a situation at work. It could be a memory that pops up, be a reaction I have when I'm talking to somebody internally. I'll write all that down in my phone and then I'll take it to my therapist and we'll talk about it and we'll unpack it. Like for example, I had a memory pop up this week from my childhood, and this is a important context. My dad's a drug addict and I grew up with him being an active addiction in my household. He caused a lot of pain, a lot of suffering for my family. On this particular day, he was driving me to a soccer game and I was, nervous. I was probably 11 or 12. I was sitting in the passenger seat and we were driving by the middle school in the town that I lived in at the time. We were going about 50 miles an hour down this kind of main road that went by the middle school. And just in the middle of driving, he looked over and told me, "Joda, if I died right now, you would have to take control of the car and steer yourself to safety." And then he let go of the steering wheel and told me to steer the car or we were gonna crash. That freaked me the fuck out. I had to lean over and I steered us until we got to the next stop sign, and then everything just went back to normal and he just kept driving me to the soccer game, and I was very shaken up. And I'm not sharing that with you because I want you to feel bad for me. I'm sharing that because that memory came up during the week, and writing it down and unpacking how it made me feel on my own, where I was like, I kind of think that's where a lot of my trust issues started, is because of things like that my dad did. And that's obviously like a fucked up thing to do to a kid, and today in therapy I was able to actually talk through why I have a hard time trusting people. And it was because I grew up in a household where things like that were normal. Another thing that'll help you show up better in therapy too is you gotta be honest. Like, it sucks sometimes. You gotta examine things in your life that you don't want to look at. But you gotta be honest about how you're feeling. I know that's obvious. When you're honest in therapy, it helps you make progress. Growth is very uncomfortable. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of effort. And you shouldn't downplay things because you think they sound silly. Like in telling that story about my dad, it's like I want to downplay how much that impacted me, because to me it feels stupid saying it out loud, and it feels almost embarrassing in a way, that's how I grew up. But it's also, that wasn't my fault. I was just a kid in a situation with somebody who wasn't safe. The third thing I'm going to give you that's going to help you show up in therapy better, and this will be the last one before I jump out of here, go to therapy when you're not in a crisis. Going to therapy when you're in a crisis is amazing for getting stable. I think it's a way that people most often get into therapy. And then when you're out of the crisis, maybe you stop. Stay in therapy, when you're not in crisis, because then you can actually work on things and you can actually get into your life and you can work on things in yourself that you want to work on, whether it's unpacking your childhood, maybe you struggle to communicate well. When you're not in a crisis, you have the space to go in and actually talk about those things with somebody who's basically just like a technician for your behavior. It's very helpful for acquiring new tools for how to move through your life. So yeah, those are some tips on how to show up better in therapy. Let me know in the comments if this helps. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all being here. Give my channel the time of day. The whole idea behind this channel is I kind of want it to feel like life advice from an older brother, or life advice in the kitchen at 2 a.m. or life advice on a late night drive is kind of the vibe that I'm going for, because that's where I've picked up a lot of knowledge from people who've had big impacts on my life, and I want to try to help people who may be going through the same thing, or maybe you can learn from my life and not have to go through things yourself. So I appreciate you being here. I'm Joe Pierce Morrison. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.